To Bullshit and Bourbon. I'm Mike. You cannot see Jeff this evening. He is playing hard to get. So,
Fair
and
enough.
Taylor is actually running a little bit late. He was doing some fatherly and husbandly duties around the house and fixing some stuff, and he lost track of time. So he will be here momentarily. Crypto Breezy, good to see you, brother. Hopefully, we'll get some of the rest of the crew in here. But tonight, me, Jeff, and Taylor are going to talk about something. Any of you that are interested in starting a business, we're going to kind of journal this. So, my brother Taylor, as most of you know, he owns a title and mortgage company and is wanting to start to incorporate blockchain into his business. He obviously invests in crypto already, so he's looking at uh, possibly doing a service, putting deeds and titles on blockchain, tokenizing, properties and doing it as a service. And then, of course, integrating the mortgage and title aspect into it as well, um, and accepting crypto as payment. So, very forward leaning. He sees what's coming and wants to, start laying the groundwork to be able to, be a front runner in that industry, which I applaud him for. So he'll be here in a minute. Jeff, what have you had going on lately that you want to share with the group?
Oh man, I've just been busting ass, dude. It's been interesting week in my household. My daughter is a senior and she was in Sister Act at school. So she was a singing nun. And so we had a whole bunch of family in and going to a bunch of shows and stuff. Meanwhile, my son was sick. My son doesn't really get sick very often, nor does my daughter, thank God. Dude, he
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
fever for a week straight because of the flu. He was down for the count, man.
I cannot remember the last time I was sick.
That's an awesome blessing. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. No, I mean it's like the. Well, actually, you know what I do? I got food poisoning when I was in the Marine Corps. I'm wanting to say it was 1999.
Damn,
Yeah,
dude. Quarter of a
yeah.
century. So the other thing I've been doing is out of sheer like it's like the equivalent of economic rubbernecking, probably. Like when you slow down, you stare at the car, right? And you don't really
Yeah.
want to see something horrible, but you can't look away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've been checking Trump's meme coin all week, and and as of right now, or it looks like anybody that bought it after now granted, obviously you could trade, you could probably trade, swing trade, but if you bought to buy and hold
Mhm.
after the first 5 hours, y- you're you're and
Well, when
that's
Taylor
crazy.
when Taylor messaged me, because we talked about that on the show before. When Taylor messaged me that he had somebody behind him that it was their first crypto buy and he spent $20,000. And from the way Taylor made it sound is that was the guy's whole nut. That was his life savings.
Yeah.
And he had it in his head that he was going to get rich. It was like, his first, meme coin. I just got into crypto. Very bad move. It's but he bought in at, I'm wanting to say when he sent that, I looked at the price and it was like $24 that it was
So
at.
he's up
And last time I
three.
looked, it was $31.
It's at 26.96 right now.
Oh shit. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's almost at his entry point.
Right.
So
And,
that's why
so
I was
if he wrote it
I,
up and didn't.
anybody listening, if you're new to crypto, do not make a meme coin your entry to crypto. It is that is the Vegas of crypto.
So
You're rolling the dice. Yeah.
I also saw that some report that said, I mean, it like broke it down, and it was the kind of stuff I'm sure you could see as well. But it's like, 98% of the buyers put like less than like $500 in, with like 90% less than like 100, and it's like their first purchase. or something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh,
And
hold on
whereas,
here. Crypto Breezy says that he bought Trump at 7. Oh, nice. Okay, so Breezy got in
oh,
a little bit early. He bought it at
that's
$7
beautiful.
and he wrote it to 42. So that sounds like he might have sold and made himself a nice, like,
Well, hell yeah,
almost
that's a
4x.
7x. That's fantastic.
Oh, is that a 7x?
Yes, right? 7 times 7,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've had a
No,
long
no,
day.
no, it's a
I've been
6x.
like
It's a
repairing
6x.
septic
7
systems
times
and
6 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49. My bad.
yep. No, no, you're right. You're right. It's closer to 7.
You look at crypto. He's all, I wish I bought more than 25 bucks. I bet.
Oh shit! I didn't see that part.
You know what's weird is I can't
Math is
participate in the chat
hard.
on the phone. I don't know why.
So yeah, 25 bucks. Oh, there he is. There's Taylor. So so yeah, no, it's we were just talking about that Trump coin, Taylor, that guy behind you. So basically, when you messaged me that Trump coin was at 24, it's currently at 26. So if that guy hasn't sold, he's about back at his entry point.
Yeah, and I don't know if Jeff mentioned about what looks like it's going to happen with NVIDIA here on Monday.
No, I haven't
No, he
mentioned it yet.
hasn't.
Although I'm reading some research about that, so I want to hold off on a conclusion. But yeah, at first blush, it does not look good.
Well, I've already listened to a couple other guys I follow that I generally like in their analysis on different investments, and all of them are bringing up the same issue with the fact that is it called DeepSeek? Is that what it's called?
DeepSeek, yeah.
Yeah. So DeepSeek, if it really does have this ability to, it's just I guess a superior language model, so it doesn't need as much processing power. The explanation to me was you have all these orders that are going to go through, and then a lot of these companies are going to just go, well, we don't need this many, and they're going to dump their chips on the market.
Yeah. No, it's the only thing that the demand for chips is, as long as there's this huge push for AI, there's going to be an increasing demand for chips.
Well, no. So what's happening is, so China came out with DeepSeek.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, actually, wasn't it NVIDIA that came up with that little freaking AI, pocket AI that's like one chip?
So what happened over the weekend is China came out with their DeepSeek, where they figured out a way through a new kind of language model to make the processing power of their AI so much more efficient that you don't need those NVIDIA chips.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. And so, what's NVIDIA's valued at how much, Jeff, right now? $2 trillion?
$3.5 trillion.
3.5. Holy shit. $3.5
No,
trillion.
NVIDIA is on a bubble for sure. NVIDIA is a bubble for sure.
So it's going to cause a panic I'm almost guaranteed on Monday, because so many people are going to look at this and go, well, this whole projection is that people are going to need to be buying these chips for the next.
It's going to be like on Trading Places with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Where the stock market one, where like the market opens and everybody's like, sell, sell, sell.
But
it could be.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, ChatGPT is I don't really think it's going to be a ChatGPT replacement, because one, ChatGPT is holding back a lot of technology they currently have. They're not. They've said their current models are way better than what they have on the market, and they've been slowly.
That's what everybody does with their products. They're going to slowly put it out there because they don't want to put their best out there, because then it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah, and so that's the disruption. If you read Sam Altman's thing, the disruption of what is planned about what's going to happen with ChatGPT when AI agents come out, they have to be very careful about that, because
so you can do AI agents on this DeepSeek already if you want to. But go ahead.
Yeah, and so, but it's only using the processing power still isn't better than what ChatGPT has out. So the real problem with AI agents is basically it's going to take white collar jobs. And so releasing it, they have to be very careful because you release something too powerful too quick, and all of a sudden corporations realize we don't need 3/4 of our programmers.
Yeah, our workforce.
Yeah.
No, we had a whole episode about that, AI and robotics, and how it's going to reshape the workforce. I mean, if you can, even if it's $30,000, $40,000 per fucking robot, and then you can have an AI that has them run your business for you. You don't got to worry about an HR, sexual harassment, sick days, people quitting. I mean, if you just had AI and robots that did, the robots for the physical stuff, AI for the mental stuff.
I saw a recent survey, one of my research, because I read a lot of research, not as much as I used to, but I read a lot of research on the macroeconomic side of things, and to try to be somewhat conversant, just so I have an idea what trends might be affecting my clients and pre-position them. Not in a way that says I should buy X and sell Y. That's not my skill set, and I don't have the time frame for it. But I read this piece that said, for currently, today, last month, a survey said that already by 2030, 43% of firms worldwide are planning for significant layoffs due to AI's impact on their business.
Yeah, because they've already
that's just now, right? That's before because think of how what's one of our biggest complaints about politics, right? Is that the people that represent us are freaking all in their 70s and 80s, right?
They're so out of
right?
touch with. Well, they're all career politicians. They're so out of touch with what it's like to be a normal, human, a normal American.
So my point is, in a lot of ways, though, that's probably the C-suite boardrooms of America and Europe and China.
Absolutely.
And so if they're already planning that, and probably the people that are at the highest levels of decision making, especially outside of tech, outside of in the industries that probably, to Taylor's point, probably could leverage this a lot as AI gets better to replace white collar jobs, but they don't quite get it yet. Kind of like Bitcoin is not gotten by baby boomers. When they figure it out, dude, it's going to be a sea change.
Future is coming.
Yeah. So on Friday night, Jeff, Jamie, and I were sitting around talking, and we talked about this. And there was an idea about, hey, maybe I should run for the mayor of McKinney because we have.
I think you should, dude. I mean, your freaking resume is perfectly in line, and you're squeaky clean.
That we have coming is people just don't realize the change that is coming. There's going to be a huge change.
95% of people have no clue.
And the big issues. So just over currently what the changes are going on and what is, and I was going through the three major things, social changes that are happening, technological changes that are happening, and then the economic changes. We're already experiencing the economic changes because of high inflation. Everybody in the whole country is. It's not going to stop. It's going to continue. It is the only way that the government, because Republican or Democrat, whatever side you're on, none of them are talking about getting the deficit under control. It's all about Federal Reserve, print more, get interest rates down.
There is Doge. There is supposedly that, Elon or whoever that's supposed to be cutting, down, different departments and, getting rid of.
Just to be clear, that's a committee.
Yeah,
that is a non-governmental committee that is going to make recommendations.
So supposedly, the 80,000 armed IRS agents that the Democrats hired, Trump did an executive order where I guess they all have to go down to the border and help secure the border now. So I was like.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting thing. But here's the big thing that why we, Jeff and I, really have kind of a foresight in what's happening, because
you two have very much so more than myself have your finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Because we meet with people every day, and I can't tell you how many elderly people that we meet with that are struggling. Mm-hmm. And so basically we've had to think out of the box how to help people. One, one big thing we currently do in the practice is encouraging multi-generational living with families, trying to get people to rethink the way that they're approaching, because you have young people who have income coming in but no assets, and we have elderly.
So basically, everyone should be Hispanic.
Yes, we're converting back to the Hispanic.
No, dude, that's how my stepmom and my dad live. Is they bought a house, they moved my sister in with her husband and all of their kids, and they have daycare. My mom loves taking care of her grandbabies, so she takes care of the kids. She takes care of the house with my sister, and my dad's retired, so he has an income, and her husband has his own business, and so they just all cohabitate.
Yeah,
and it works perfectly for all of them.
And so another thing I've talked to a lot of clients about is, because I'll have a lot of old people come in that only have Social Security. That's it. And they can't keep up with the rent. And they really can't go back to work. So I've talked to them.
For people that don't know, what is the average amount that the average Social Security person on Social Security gets?
That I see?
Yes.
$1,800 a month.
Can you imagine trying to live, gas, car payment, food, health insurance, whatever, of $1,800 a month? Actually, Taylor, I want to ask you a question, because I've been wondering if this is true. I saw somebody do a calculation. The average person from starting to work at 18 to retiring at 65, if they would have taken what they paid into Social Security and just put it in the stock market. And, I've seen people throw this number around to where people would have like a $60,000 or $70,000 a year, residual income if they would have invested over that time. Is that correct?
Jeff, do you know how much that is?
I don't think it's correct, because what you're paying to Social Security is 7% of your wages, right? So you'd be looking at, and they might be counting what the government put in as well, or they might be counting what the employer put in as well. But like you're talking, you're talking what, probably for a lot of people, $3,000 to $4,000, $5,000 a year. I mean, it would have grown significantly, but it wouldn't be giving you 60, 70 grand a year.
But that's a decent amount of money, and a lot more than $1,800.
Most people I see, like, one of the things you could, if you really wanted to figure this out, because when you get your statement from Social Security every year, like they give you, it shows what has been withheld every year. And you could put that back in and pretend you invest in the S&P 500 and see what it would have done, right?
Well, but didn't Bush try to pass this?
He tried, and the argument is that that works great if it's 1980 to 2000, but what if it's 2000 2010 and the market goes sideways or down?
Or someone retires in 2008, they're screwed. But I think that the bigger issue is people messing with their investment. Now, the market would be significantly overvalued if that would have happened. Could you imagine if everybody's Social Security was going into the stock market, what prices would be for these stocks and these companies?
I mean,
they would need to be relatively close to the actual valuations of these companies. So it's kind of like one of those hard things, and then you create even a more massive bubble on top of it, because you're going to have the issue of, well, baby boomers now. So really, the baby boomers retirement effect we didn't really start feeling it due to immigration, because this is another issue that people aren't aware of, with Trump passing this new law or new executive order to kind of halt immigration. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the big issues that people aren't aware of is back in 2000, 1 out of 150 kids were born with autism. Now it's 1 in 44. That we have been keeping the workforce highly skilled employees because we're immigrating those into the country.
Because Americans are retarded.
Basically, that is the problem. Like that is the hard reality that you have to get to is we don't have the workforce. No one's having kids now. So you're going
I don't have kids.
Exactly. Michael's a perfect example.
I'm awesome.
I replaced it for you, Michael. You know, I had 5, so you could have 0. All right.
Yeah, it balanced out. So the 2.5, you had my 2.5 for me.
But like a city like McKinney, like where we live, it is full of H-1B visa people. You end that, we're going to see a huge swing of, well, where are we going to get these highly skilled employees that are going to be moving into areas?
He's not wanting to stop those. I mean, my understanding. I mean, tell me if this isn't the case, but he's wanting to stop illegal immigration.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. But there was extreme pushback from his base wanting the H-1Bs visas ended because a lot of people feel like they have to compete with that in America when they're going for jobs. It's like,
actually, I did see something on social media about that, and I was arguing with a couple of people about it. I was like, no, it's like we want those people. The immigrants that come under those visas are the ones that like innovate and can start businesses and do. They're the ones that have like the ideas that fuel and keep America as like the front runner in technology and innovation and production and all those things.
Well, and it's also abused. There also is this thing, corporations trying to find somebody that will come in for cheaper and do a job. And I mean, that does exist. But the reality of the fact is we benefit.
Well, isn't there regulations in place? Because I looked, and isn't there regulations in place in the actual law that they have to be paid a comparable wage to an American citizen that does the same job and in the same zip code and all that stuff?
Yeah, but you know that like they fudge that stuff because like you got somebody here in America, he's done a job, he's highly skilled.
Taylor, is that what you're doing? I know that lady from the Philippines. Is that what you're doing?
Well, she's not on H-1B, but she's a perfect example of somebody that I can't find in America. Like, no,
she seemed really sharp. The video I watched, she seemed like she was super sharp.
Well, she's super sharp, but super motivated, and like. It's hard for me to find Americans that are super motivated because if they are, they have their own company. Like, it's like, why would I go work for this guy when I can just do this myself?
All right. So we got on a huge rabbit trail, and that's a perfect segue into what we were wanting to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Is starting a business.
Okay.
So we're going to just do a hard stop and go over because we're already like halfway through the hour.
Yeah. I think
you can blame me because I've been drinking. Was that?
Did we lose Jeff?
I'm here. I'm just listening.
Okay.
All right. So Taylor, tell us what you have in mind. Like basically the way I presented this to the audience is you have an idea for a business and we're going to brainstorm it here. And if we can flesh it out and it sounds like a good idea from your standpoint, my standpoint, from Jeff's standpoint, then potentially we're going to move forward with it. We're going to actually like journal this and, show people that, good, the bad, the ugly of trying to start a new business. So Taylor, go.
So, I own a title company, and one of the issues that we deal with title companies is the fact that, I guess I shouldn't say this is issues that we face, but it's like, what are the opportunities that are out there currently, for getting value out of your home? So there are some ideas out there that people are trying to do where it's like, you showed me one, I forgot the name of the company, but basically what they do is they tokenize their properties that they have, so you can invest in and get the rental.
It's called Propy, like Propy.com or something like that.
Yeah, and so it's similar to the concept of a REIT, but the benefit of doing it in this fashion is the efficiency. The problem with a REIT, if anybody's real estate investment trusts, They're great ways to invest and get dividend income. I'm currently invested in a bunch of them, but
I had never heard of that.
that rental income comes in, and they pass on basically the rent to you, and you're able to buy very expensive commercial
yachts and jewelry and
well, you don't, but the managers of those REITs are engaging often in very lucrative behavior for themselves. Okay, we'll put it that way.
All right.
If you want to read into a very interesting one, it's called MPW, Medical Property. What was that? What's it? I can't remember what the last word, but MPW basically is collapsing because they were using basically.
They were sucking the liquidity out for their personal use.
Yeah, they were buying yachts for themselves. They were doing all types of different things. Well, the idea is, can we get rid of these middlemen? These middlemen that like take the money and take a lot of the profits, and hopefully this
make it a trustless process to where there is no humans in the process to take advantage.
And so you basically buy tokens that own these properties that you get the rental income from. But the benefit, you're getting the appreciation in the values of the property too. So as the property is going up, you own part of that building. Let's say
you own a percentage.
Yeah. And so when that property sold, you get it. The title company, when they close, they pay into the ledger, and the ledger divides out the money, not through a middleman who would be sitting there trying to determine it. It would pass out through the whole process.
Well, and that's the thing, is it wouldn't need to be paid out, because the tokens themselves would be like, say there's it's $1 million property. You issue 1 million tokens, just for good round numbers. You issue 1 million tokens. The property's worth $1 million. So each token is worth $1.
Yeah.
Say that you retain 25% or $250,000. Just again, for good round numbers, it appreciates 100%. It's a $2 million property. If you bought in for $250,000, then you owned a quarter of it at inception, and the price of the token, because of the appreciation of the property, you would get 100% return on investment. So you would get $500,000 because you owned 25% of the tokens. So it wouldn't even need a person to physically pay anybody.
Yeah.
From a technology standpoint, it would also ensure that there was no liens on the property. It would ensure that, there's a lot of the legalities.
Now, so how would you do that? You would initially, I guess, upon initial issuing of the tokens, you would have to have somebody like Taylor's firm that does the research, like basically put like a crypto notary stamp on, saying that as of this point, there's no liens, and then going forward, any lien has to be added to the blockchain to be effective or to be legal.
Yeah, and then
so basically, Taylor would provide a service to basically digitize or tokenize a person's property, if that's something that you wanted to do, which is easy enough to do. And then once it's tokenized, anytime there's a lien put on it or anything like that, it would have to go on the chain, so that when the property goes to get sold, that's where it's recorded, just like you would at a county office.
Yeah, you'd also have to record in the county office, because the law requires it, so that everybody's on notice that this property is completely 100% lien. So you don't want the homeowner or whoever's like putting this on it to go out and get a mortgage on the property and then screw you over. Because
my question, Taylor, my question to you is, what is going on legislation wise, being a lawyer, to where and with Trump in office, with his pro-crypto stance, how do you feel that it's going to move forward? Because this could be a huge linchpin if this is going to work or not, to where counties are going to be required, anytime there's a lien or anything put against a property, that they're going to have to record that on the ledger. on chain, at some point, because otherwise this won't work.
Yeah, well, you don't need to have that. You don't need to have the law that way. So the way the titles work here in Texas, I don't know, maybe other states have it, but here in Texas, companies control. They create their own databases. They already have.
Okay.
So like Chicago Title.
Well, what if I'm an electrical contractor? I do work on a property. They don't pay me, and I put a lien on it. How does that work?
So that's a materialman's lien. Okay. And so materialman's lien, they have special priority if you've actually put work into a property. And so, but when we're talking about the idea of some type of mortgage or lien against property, money loaned against it, because that's really what's happening when you tokenize a property. People are going to be giving money to whoever's the home person who owns the home. Okay.
Yeah.
Now they control it. They just need to have recorded in the county records, hey, there's this lien that's controlled by this, that if you want to buy this property, this lien needs to be removed. Okay. Now, this is going to require, there are some middlemen that are still needed in the process. You can't 100% get away from it, because right now we just don't have the ability to verify things without human beings.
Like you said, the law says they have to record it with the county, and there's no requirement that the county record it on the blockchain.
Yeah. And you can slowly over time, like these title, or my gosh, I can't think of the name right now. We use them all the time, but
you're good.
Basically like Chicago Title or any one of these small counties, whoever owns I want to say the title plant. There it is. The title plant. It's their property. They've gone down, they've recorded everything. They've created these extensive ledgers where they know what's going on. Are they going to go put those on the blockchain? Absolutely not, because that's how they make money. I have to pay every time someone goes, we want to close with you, Taylor. I got to send money to Chicago Title and pay them for their for that research and that chain. And they're not going to give that up. Now, people could start doing it with their own properties where they put it on the blockchain. And so now it's known and it's verified that, hey, this has been recorded. And so now it's no longer needed to go through anything, because people could trust the ledger that there is a lien placed out on that property.
Here's a thought. So basically, in my mind, this is the big linchpin as far as totally eliminating humans from the process, or not eliminating humans from the process, but making it to where all data for a property in its entirety is stored on blockchain. Ownership, fractional or whole, liens, mineral rights, just all of those different aspects of property. I think that this would be a good business to get started now. And then as regulations and legislation is drafted, either the people that would have that would be putting liens on the property, or the county that by law, it sounds like, is meant to record those things, until there's legislation in place to where, this is how, like almost like an SOP or best practices of, this is how these things will be recorded by law, to ensure that if Taylor wants to sell a property, I want to buy it 100% on chain, I can do my due diligence. I can see it.
So I have a question.
Am I making sense? I'm kind of
you're
rambling.
Absolutely making sense. I think here's where I think I'm not saying there's not a business here, but I think here's where the linchpin is, and I could be completely wrong. But so, for example, in our business, Taylor's constantly wanting me to be more organized and saying, well, Jeff, when client A does something, record it here. Or for that matter, not to completely blame me, but we'll talk about the struggles he's had, just as he's had to get his employees used to changing over to a new CRM system. The CRM system
Yeah.
is only as good as the information people remember
Yeah.
to put in. So
Yeah, and that's why it's so
I
important that they put it in at the moment of when they receive it.
right. So what I would say is, so there's nothing. For example, you know, this would have to be something in my mind that would have to be driven by government, and here's why. If the government said, hey, any property owner, because I mean, what's to stop me from just going with a handshake to Taylor and getting drunk, drunk one night and put it on a piece of paper and say, hey, Taylor, give me $50,000 right now, and I'm going to give you half my property, and I don't record it anywhere, and he doesn't record it. I mean, there's nothing that forces it to be on the blockchain. But if you had the government say, as of 2030, if any liens are placed by any entity on a property and is not recorded on the digital
has to
blockchain,
be
it's
recorded
not
through this
enforceable.
website or
Right. If it's
Well-
not recorded here, you don't have recourse in a court of law because you did not file it. In the same way that right now Taylor has to deal with people that write
Jeff-
their wills,
Jeff,
but they
let-
don't get it witnessed and it doesn't count.
they write a will on a bar napkin like I did.
you guys, since I'm a lawyer, I'm going to tell you, you don't need the law changed that much, actually. So
Okay.
law, you can just have kind of like a perpetual lien against property till it violates the rule against perpetuities, which is like 300 years from now. But there's a rule that says you can't have perpetual liens or perpetual things from generation to generation to generation. So in Texas, I know they upped it to 300 and something years, but basically you'd only have this problem about every 300 years, because what you could do is just file a thing saying there is a lien on this property, and basically nobody is going to buy that property because the superior lien is held by the first person to file. So
No, okay, I think we're talking past each other. I'm saying something super simple. I want to sell my house in 5 years through Taylor's digitized system,
yeah,
right? And I've already had, and I had Taylor 2 years ago digitize my house, and it was free and clear liens. Let's just say I own my house outright. But then
Yeah.
I got a second mortgage and didn't tell anybody, and the mortgage company doesn't know about this digitization
yes,
thing.
it will, Jeff. You're missing the point, because you file on the first time you do it, you have to file in the county. You file the lien in the county, so that everybody knows it's taken. It's no longer owned by the individual. It's owned by whatever company you want to call it, and it's tokenized. The only person,
But I don't
organization
want to
that can
sell
really-
my house. I just want to have use a blockchain transaction, right?
Exactly. But the thing is you're tokenizing your house. It doesn't mean you're selling it for anything. It's just tokenized. And the agreement you have with the company is you're the owner. You own 100% of the tokens. Now,
But that's still listed
and the other
somewhere.
big thing that the thing
wait,
that got
guys.
me so
Let me get to the
interested
next
in-
part. Let me get to the next part.
Okay, go ahead.
What can you use with this tokenization? Well, now that your house is really tokens, let's say you need money. Well, right now, if I want to get like a home equity loan,
Say
I
that
have
you're
to
on
go to
Social
the bank.
Security and you're only making $1,800 a month.
Exactly. And I look at it and go, okay, here's my problem. I want to get a home equity loan. I have to go down to the bank.
But I'm only making $1,800 in Social Security.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to spend $8,000 in fees to the bank, to the title company,
Mhm.
in order to be able to get a home equity loan. Well, if you've tokenized your house already, it's already done that way. You can just sell your tokens with partial ownership. Now, why would someone want to pay? It's like, well, you could make an agreement that, hey, you could do it under different concepts. One, you could do like a reverse mortgage where you're an elderly person and someone comes in and goes, hey, grandma, you know what? I'm looking at this as a business opportunity. I know your house is worth $300,000, but I'm willing to give you $150,000 right now. And when you pass away, then I get the house back.
I get 50% of whatever the value is at that time.
Or maybe grandma is more willing to do it. Maybe you offset it and go, well, I'm willing to give you $250 and to own 100%, but you have the right to live there. You can do what we call
No,
life.
and that's the beauty of the smart contract is they could do a smart contract on chain that says that exact thing. And they could have a lawyer do it, your service, if we start this business.
You use
your
what,
service.
stable coins?
Yeah.
No, basically he could do a smart contract on chain that says, old lady can stay in her house until she passes, but upon the death certificate being, issued, it triggers the smart contract, and it says that that person owns 100% of the house, and
Now-
they can do with it as they please.
Now, there's some issues that we have to worry about, of course, because there's taxes, there's insurance. Like, how do you handle those type of issues?
And that would be in the smart contract that's on the buyer or the seller, whatever.
Yeah, you just put it in there, and then there has to be, mortgage companies use escrow systems that you would just use to show that the taxes and insurance are being paid through the system, and the system knows that, hey, this is being handled, and can notify anybody. Oh, hey, they didn't pay they haven't paid their taxes this year. Oh, well, that's going to trigger an event that could cause them to be able to go and, repossess the property, or, evict whoever's in there for not doing it, and resell the property. Now, there's a bunch of abuses that could happen and different things like that. They have to be followed through with the law. I mean, there might be, they're going to have to be systems developed in it to go, hey, well, we have to protect both people's interests here. How do we resolve these issues under an agreement of whatever needs to be done? But the benefit of the system, one, it screws my title company over in the long run, because
well, but honestly, that's a motivator for you to evolve now to where you're a service, to where you are, tokenizing properties, and then writing these smart contracts and putting them on chain for people to make sure they're compliant with regulations and laws, and in line with their will or their trust, or just whatever. And so honestly, it fits in very nicely with what that little niche that you have cut out.
Well, yeah, but in the long run, what ends up happening is, as houses more and more are tokenized, well, you don't need to do a whole title search every single time, because there's no transfer.
You don't need to do a title search. You don't need to do a title search, but
you don't need title insurance. Well, you don't need title insurance because there's no new transaction happening. The same organization, the same thing is owning the property. It's just the rights to the property are changing. So
there's two things I see here. One, there's the service of tokenizing properties, initially. There's the recording of, these different things that we've talked about, liens and, things like that. So that's a part of a service that you could provide to, contractors and, whoever else that might put liens. Third, there is to where you personally could be buying properties. It's something I know that you've done in the past. Buy properties, tokenize them, sell off a portion, and basically build a portfolio for your business of rental properties or Airbnbs or whatever that you own. And people can earn a APR or a yield off of however much they can afford, a couple $100, couple $1,000, whatever property. If it's a $200,000 property, there's 200,000 tokens. For $1,000, you can buy a token, just whatever. And it's
dude, I was already thinking, as soon as you started talking about this, I'm like, you make the fee where you make the fee free, but you just take a percentage of the tokens. So like all of a sudden,
exactly.
You own 2% of 100 houses.
Yeah, 25% of the tokens stay with the company. We get 25% of, after all the expenses, we get 25% of the rents. If the property ever sells, we get 25%. The token holders of the 75% get paid out.
No one's gonna agree to give 25% away for this, right?
No,
but they might give 2% away.
The thing is you could.
No. I'm saying if we bought properties, like if basically we see a good deal on a property and we're like, you know what? We're going to buy that. We're going to tokenize it if it's not already tokenized, and we're going to keep a certain percentage for ourselves so that we
I see
get
what
the
you're saying.
rent. And then if it sells, we get a percentage of that sale as well. So it basically would be evolving your existing title and mortgage company, because the writing's on the wall. And you might see it differently because you have a different perspective. The writing's on the wall for title and mortgage companies with blockchain and trustless interaction, or trustless, smart
Hey,
contracts.
look at Josh Dallas's comment. That's a good comment, I think.
All right, here, let me put it up. Taylor, I want you to read it because it's probably going to be applicable to you.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be similar to start tokenizing the raw land. Might be less technical to deal, easier to split between people, and a good practice to run before stepping in to real estate. Yeah, so that concept, absolutely. So who would benefit probably the most out of this idea currently are builders. You go in, you develop a huge area, and you tokenize the whole thing at the beginning. And as you break up individual parts, the key to understand this is, I'm going to go back. I'm going to teach you guys real estate law really quick. Okay.
Just really quick.
Really quick. I need everybody to understand this.
I'm going to teach you law real fast.
Because people go, I own my property. You don't own all your property. It's a lie. We lie to you to convince you into this thing. Because
don't pay your property taxes. Watch what happens.
Exactly. You have a fee simple interest in property. These are terms and things and the best way to think about it is ownership of property is like a bundle of sticks. Here's my little
bundle of sticks. Your energy drinks.
I can use. Okay. All right. The government, what they do before they give you your land, they take away one of the biggest interests, the right to tax you on your property. And they put it in their little pocket. Okay. And they hold that, and you are subservient because this tradition has been held all the way down since we had kings, the right to tax. William the Conqueror.
Somebody shows up to my property to take this shit. They're going to be ready to scrap.
Yeah. And then they give you other things. And all property is a bunch of rights. That's it. You have the right to live there. You have the right to sell it and keep the proceeds. You get a life estate right if you want. And all you're doing, so the hard part of the
free man
problem is the terminology. If you are tokenizing homes, the people who are going to live there are not going to be the owners, because you're taking away one of the actual ownership and you're retaining it as the tokenized company. So the company, or I shouldn't say a company, the contract, if you want, becomes the owner.
Yeah.
Okay. And all the tokenization is doing is we're going to give you the right to live in the property.
Yeah. We're going to give you the right to take minerals off the property. We're going to take you the right to take water from the property, whatever.
We're going to give you the right, if you want, to sell off tokens to that property to other people that you'll pay interest on to them if you need your money. And so,
or yield,
it's going to give, or yield, whatever you want to do. But the company remains the fee simple interest in the property, meaning, hey, smart contract, the way it works is you violate our agreement, then you're like a tenant. You're getting evicted.
Well, and like I said, that's really what the smart contract does is you draft the smart contract as if it's a legal contract, and it executes based off of what is logged. So it's not going to release funds. If you're buying it, I'm selling it. If you deposit the money and it doesn't deposit to my account, the smart contract doesn't execute.
Yeah,
there is no escrow, there is no anything like that. The transfer of the title, all done on chain. Once X happens, you deposit the money, then Y happens, it deposits in my account, it executes, and ownership, it says, okay, now Z happens. Now the ownership of the property transfers. And of course, all down the line, you can do and then if if you're into programming.
The only issue that could become a big problem in this is fraud. Someone steals your whatever it may be, like your access codes,
your
sells
private
off your
keys, or
property. Yeah, your key, and they
if your wallet got hacked, because basically this would be an NFT. So if somebody hacked your wallet, or wherever you stored your NFT,
But I think-
technically, yes, they could take your property.
but I think you can resolve that problem by requiring that the signing of selling the property, significant transactions have to be
There has
done
to be a
in person.
physical
Yeah,
action.
yeah. Someone has to witness you doing it. It's like a title, but you don't have to pay as much because the title company doesn't have to do any research or anything. All they're doing is they're verifying that both parties are the actual parties in signing.
I know a notary. That's the way that notaries would, and there might be a way to automate it through contract. But like a notary, you have to sit before a certified person, prove that you're who you are, you digitally sign the smart contract saying that, yes, I agree to sell this, and then it releases it.
You would need anybody can get a notary license. You would need somebody with a sophistication of understanding tokenization and actual verification of keys and ID.
If it was on chain, it would be a dashboard. Basically, it could be a website. It could be a dashboard that they log on to. You have your like a bunch of my cold storage is basically a credit card that I put to the back of my phone.
Yeah,
and I could log in and say, in front of them, yes, this is me. I'm signing it. They can say, yes, I verify this person is who they say they are. They're releasing, ownership of, said property, and done.
Yeah.
You'd
have to deal with the issue of also people dying. That's like one of the biggest, I do probate law. So one of the biggest issues that I have to deal with is I have all these people coming in going, hey, my husband, he had crypto, but I don't know the passwords. And I'm like, well, like you're kind of out of luck. And so there are things that need to be done to kind of resolve those issues, because if we're going to go by password systems, we have to realize people die and they don't write down their passwords. Like,
oh yeah. Well, I honestly, I think that wallets, now that we're starting to get institutional adoption and we're starting to get actual legislation, the technology is starting to evolve to get more seamless. I honestly think that it's going to get to the point to where people in a safe deposit box or a safe or whatever, they're just going to have a card, almost like a credit card. And as long as you have that, or are able to attain, through proving who you are, a copy of that, then, like you do a will and a trust, you can put it on chain. They have a card, and they issue a card to everyone who has, who's in the will. And as long as they have that, they can scan it, and it automatically, as long as the smart contract says, yes, this person died, there's a death certificate, lawyer signs it, the coroner or whatever signs it saying there's a death certificate, it releases, this property to this person, this amount of money to this person. It just does it all automatically. That's what I see the future as.
Yeah, and there's some hurdle. I mean, law requires certain things to have to go through court. So,
but that's going to evolve, because of this new technology, in my opinion. I mean, by all means, you're the subject matter expert on law.
Well,
I see things evolving in that way, because 24/7.
Yeah. So here's the issue.
Go ahead.
So, like, if somebody hasn't done anything to establish who their heirs are at law, you have to have a court determine under every state. Every state requires this. There's a determination of heirship proceeding that has to happen to determine who inherits that property under state law. Now you can get around some of that.
That can be an action in the smart contract, though.
Yeah, you could, but the problem, there's issues that arise from that. Like the person one has to make sure that they list off all their potential beneficiaries. Okay.
Well, if there is no beneficiaries, you can just have one of the actions in the smart contract. If it's that if then from programming.
Yeah.
If there are no heirs listed, then another programming term, then a court has to decide who's getting this, the state, or are they going to seek out the heirs, if it's a distant cousin or whatever, and the court has to then digitally sign and release that, because before that there was no heirs. If there was heirs, the court would never come into it. The program would never get to that point to where it'd show up on the court's digital docket.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's procedures you have to go through and different things like that. But the requirements, the reality is like you're going to still need people doing things. The big middlemen
until the technology evolves.
Yeah, the big middlemen that you're going to cut out are going to be the insurance factor, because you don't need to insure every single time the transaction goes through. To a point, there is some things that there might be need to be insurance on, because one, heirs are a perfect example. You'll need some guarantee that the people coming forward as the heirs are actually the right people, and you'll need somebody to ensure that. But also on the mortgage side, the banking industry is really who gets hit hard with this, because at the end of the day, who's charging the highest fees when you want money?
Well,
true.
It's the loan officer. It's the mortgage company. They charge, it's like $6,000-$7,000 just for you to get access to money.
Banks very quickly. Banks have seen the writing on the wall. JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, all the big players have been making moves the whole time that they were saying that crypto's a scam, Bitcoin's a pyramid scheme, all that stuff. They've been building in the background. I've been watching them do it. And the reason they've been doing that is they understand they need to evolve. And they've injected themselves. And trust me, Taylor, you know this better than most. They have lobbyists and people in Washington that, as this regulation and this legislation is drafted and passed, it's going to ensure that they have a place in this process to where they can profit and benefit.
Yeah.
Mark my words. It's gonna fucking happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to bounce, guys, but I want to make one comment. So first of all, in general, I like this idea a lot. Actually, I want to think a lot more about it, but I think this is something that certainly is the direction it's going to go in some way, shape, or form. How it eventually evolves, who knows, right? But what I think is interesting is most, like, if you follow anything in the stock market, or even like casual pseudo market participants like Rich Dad Poor Dad or Stu Norman, who I can't stand, or or Dave, what's his name, the guy that talks about eating beans and rice all the time, Dave Ramsey, whatever. But I mean, even those folks, they're kind of almost like populist investors will say that, like, the greatest wealth creation the history's ever seen is the American stock market, right, over the last 100 years. And when you really think about it, based on this conversation, it's really because of the ease of which, once you're publicly traded, shares can exchange hands, investments can exchange hands, right? I mean, if Taylor wants to sell his business tomorrow, it's a multi-month long process to list the business, find a business broker, find someone that wants to buy the title company, the law firm, they do their due diligence, they come and exchange it. But 100%, that's what I'm saying but right now, all of us can get online, and if we wanted to, as soon as the market's open, to buy any company we can think of that's publicly traded. This tokenization aspect, if this can be done to the real estate market, where you don't have to, where you could, in blink an eye, and in 10 years, someone with enough money could walk into McKinney, Texas, or wherever else, and say, you know what, I really like this street. I'm gonna go online and make my best offer and see if anybody's willing to let go of their tokens. I mean, that's just, it's very interesting how efficiently it would let you make liquid illiquid things, or like the raw land idea that Josh had earlier. I think that's a really interesting thing, because to Taylor's point, you can do it, right? You can go borrow against your land right now, but it's a atrociously difficult thing to do from a
Yeah.
documentation standpoint and from a credit standpoint, and and you're at the whim of
It's
the
not, it's
big
not a
banks and
fast
their interest
process.
rates, right? So anyway, I think it's really interesting. I think it should be TBD, so to speak. I gotta
Yeah.
let you guys go though, so I will, Taylor,
No,
I'll
no,
see you tomorrow
I gotta
bright and
get
early.
going here soon as well.
So one thing I would love to figure out, like, because Crypto Breezy says, Taylor, can you you can put in the smart contract a copy of a will, have it part of your services. So this is one thing. Wills still have to be in writing. They're required by law that you have to have the original when it's executed, because wills have to go through probate to ever be executed or used. What the thing is causing the biggest problem right now that I'm having with crypto is this only use of passwords, and people
Oh,
inability.
you mean the private keys?
Well, private keys or even passwords to get in, if people cannot access, Coinbase, for example,
Yeah.
you can't get any of that out of there. Like, it's impossible. It's a horrible system. Like,
I get what you're saying. That is a huge barrier to entry. Is
it's a massive barrier to entry, because I have a client right now that's $300,000, or the wife is trying to get $300,000 from Coinbase. His husband was doing everything. She doesn't have any of his passwords.
Tough luck. No, it's a huge thing. I mean,
like the fact that
I have a bunch of stuff in my safe that details my passwords and all my where everything's at, and because if you don't, it's scattered all over, and there is no possible way people are going to know how to find it.
Or find it, or even even if they find where you have it, they can't get to it. It's worthless.
Yeah,
it's worthless when that happens. And so, like, this problem needs to be solved. Banks have already solved it, because you go to the bank.
You know what? Maybe somehow that's a part of the service that you can offer. Is basically, I mean, I know that there's a lot that would go into that, but retaining that maybe like in some sort of vault, to where they have a safety deposit box where their cold storage wallet is, and then like some sort of device that stores what their passwords are, and like where the assets are being staked or lent, or if they're doing DeFi with it or whatever, and you house that stuff for them, so that you can guarantee that their heirs will have access to it.
Well, like, one simple way is someone designing a program that basically, I don't know, maybe Google does not allow this to happen, but like, really all you need to access everybody's passwords, at least mine,
is their Google Drive.
Is the Google password, your Google password. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Like, that's really it. And then you can get into everything. The problem is you have to change that sucker every few months.
Honestly, I honestly think that probably, as like an additional service, having like, buying an old, bank or something like that, to where there's a vault, and having like an office there, and that's where you ran this real estate / digitizing or tokenizing properties, / wills and trusts, digital, crypto wills and trusts, and you had a vault, and every client had a box, and it was just, they sat down with a specialist whenever they did the will and trust. Do you own any digital assets? Yes. All right. After we're done here, you're going to go talk to so-and-so. They're going to ensure that, it's all on this cold storage device. that, all the passwords and appropriate materials, if it's a card or however the technology has evolved, this is, to ensure that your heirs in your will can access this stuff seamlessly. They have a key. We have a key. We let them in based off the will, the legal will, and it really, it gives them the ability to access all that stuff. Maybe that's another part of the service.
Yeah, I mean that's so you would be holding their actual cold wallet in the safe?
Yeah. So you would have the cold storage wallet. You would have, and they could have a copy of it because all you need is the seed phrase. So they could have like almost like a clone of it that they use to trade and, whatever, while they're still alive, add to it, whatever. But there is the thumb drive that has, any passwords or PIN numbers or whatever else. They have the cold storage wallet that is the clone of, the wallet. And so if the person dies, again, the heirs, whoever's in the will or the trust, can access, whatever they are supposed to have access to.
Yeah, I mean that would absolutely, like, I don't understand, like, I guess one of the concerns I would have is the decay on the cold storage wallet. I don't
Doesn't
know.
matter. The seed phrase is the key. So, the 12 or 24 word seed phrase, you can buy a new ledger or Trezor or, whatever, any cold storage wallet or hot wallet, you can put that seed phrase in and it will give you access to whatever crypto that was on that cold storage wallet, as long as you have the seed phrase and the password.
Okay, so what if they change the password though?
If they change the password, they would have to come and update that.
Okay, they'd be
The
responsible.
way the technology is now, they would have to come and update that and update their will and, whatever.
So there's no service out there right now that will hold your password and seed phrase online?
So Ledger tried to launch something. A lot of people pushed back on it because the fact that they, as the storage device, had your seed phrase on file to be able to give that to you, meant that if they got hacked, then people could get your seed phrase and access to your funds. If
Gotcha.
you were a third party to where you're housing that in a bank vault and it's separate from the company that developed the storage device, then you're basically, separating that out to where no one person, or one entity would be able to access those funds. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you're saying that the benefit of having it be physical, like an actual physical thing, not online, is so it can never be hacked.
You don't even need the actual physical storage. You just need the seed phrase. Even if they had like a little, binder or book where it was typed or written in there or engraved on a metal plate or whatever, as long as they have the seed phrase and the PIN number or password, doesn't matter. Like you said, though, if they change their password, they can't change the seed phrase. But if they change the password, they would have to come in and update that metal plate or thumb drive or whatever.
Okay.
So we can leave it at that. I know it's getting late. I know you probably got to get back and finish that door.
Yeah.
But dude, I honestly, I think this is something that we need to talk more about, even before like another episode. If this is something that you're seriously thinking about, I think there's legs here.
Yeah, definitely definitely usually good ideas, you start with the simplest one.
Yeah,
and maybe the simplest idea right now is, what's a way for people to protect so their heirs can get their access to their crypto stuff? They're, like, maybe that's the easiest solution to solve first and build from that one.
I would think that and potentially a service of assisting people tokenizing their real world assets.
Yeah.
I think those are probably the two places to start. And then as regulation and the technology evolves, then you scale and grow, in alignment with that, to where, maybe that becomes, irrelevant, to where you don't need to, basically you can just give everybody that's in the will a card, and they store that on their own, and it's on them that when the person dies, that, that's how they get what they're entitled to,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I definitely think that would probably be a logical place to start.
All right. Okay, Michael. Lot
All right, brother.
to think about. No, my brain's overwhelmed.
No, you know what? Digest it. Get back to me in the next couple of days, because yeah, like I said, I mean, if this is something you want to do, I definitely have the bandwidth to help you out with it.
All right, we'll figure it out.
Sounds good. All right, Crypto Breezy, Josh Dallas. I've been helping Josh Dallas with his DeFi. He's wanting to buy a property and to do a little hippie colony. So actually, you know what? I want to have him on the show real quick at some point. I really think he's an interesting dude, old Josh. I think that you and him would get along quite well.
He lives in Dallas too?
What's that?
Does he live in Dallas?
No. He actually I don't want to dox him. He's up in the Northeast somewhat. Okay. But he's opened his mind, I'll say, and over an extended period of time, and is very knowledgeable about breathing techniques, ice baths, psychedelics, just all the different aspects of trying to improve upon yourself, both mentally, spiritually, physically, whatever. But he has been delving into DeFi because he's wanting to kind of jumpstart where he's at financially to accomplish some of the things that he wants to. And so, yeah, I mean, we've been kind of learning together, because a lot of the questions he's asked, I haven't asked myself, just because of the sheer volume of information that I've been trying to process. I've skipped over some things. So he's actually given me quite a bit of insight and made me kind of go back to the beginning on a couple of topics. Perfect. Anyway,
let's have him on.
Yeah, no, we'll have him on. But appreciate you, Taylor. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you.